We made it. We're alive. We're back. The Metal Lab is kind of live. Okay, we're going to use the phrase live loosely here. As it's been a long trip, we had to get up very early. We were all on the same flight at 6:15 in the morning, but we made it back from Atlanta, and we got all kinds of stories from Roctober. I'm going to introduce the panel, and then we'll get right into it. I'm joined this week by Jay.
Hey.
Who will be faceless today due to technical issues. I'm also joined by our new Mike, Mr. Mike White.
Hey, everybody.
Who was a great help with commentating this weekend and saved a little bit of my voice. You might hear me a little deeper right now because it wasn't 100% saved. I did have to do the work in the first place. So a little bit of an event happened this weekend, hey guys?
Yeah, that was a marathon, a Clixathon, as it were.
A Clixathon, indeed, yes. All right, so I'm going to start. We'll go day by day, share our stories as far as what we went through, what we did, how we enjoyed our Roctober. And we're going to start first with the Thursday, and I believe out of us, I was the only one there. But Thursday had a really goofy event. Scott Crampton and the guys over Critical Clixed decided they're going to have their own team championships. But this was a team championships that definitely involved the consumption of alcohol, which, you know, made judging for very easy, let me tell you. But the idea was you had 3 different eras of Heroclix presented in front of you, and each team put a person in front of these. And when I say 3 different eras, I mean pre-card era, and the packs that you could have got were DC Hyper Time, Legacy, or Collateral Damage. In the middle, there was a couple of packs of, and this is the early card era, Secret Invasion and DC 75th Anniversary, the pre-NECA age, as it were. And then there was some post-NECA modern age stuff included with some Joker's Wild, some Amazing Spider-Man, and some nonsense all around. Each team would roll dice, a series of dice twice to find out what packs they got, and then build teams with that. It was a lot of fun watching people try to figure out what to do with pre-carded figures, and then having questions in regards to feats, and just, you know, at some points being like, no, I'm not going to let this happen. Or I am going to let this happen because why not? This sounds fun. What's the worst that can happen? In the end, it was a ton of fun to watch the event in action, and congrats to Team Kleenex Nest in that event. It was a lot of fun to judge this, a lot of fun to watch everybody in action and watch some of the team names that came up. This team consisted of one of our fans, Chris Stockhouse, and a pair of players, and they wanted to make a joke on one of the other team names. The best one they came up with was Kleenex Nest, so that was interesting. But now moving to Friday. Everybody's starting to arrive at this point, and it's the first day of events that matter in any way, shape, or form. There was a 300-point modern super qualifier on this day. A lot of hard rocks and Jay battle royales for whatever they were. Rock and rolls. That's what they call them.
Rock and rolls. Yep, that was. I had muted my mic and I was like, "Oh, rock and rolls, rock and rolls." Oh, sorry.
But those were your last chances to get points. So between that last chance qualifier and all those other events, this was the day to spend collecting up any rock points you might be a little bit short. I spent most of the time commentating on the super qualifier, so I'll get into the details on that one. But I'm going to move on to let Mike kind of start his story of Roctober. This would be the day you guys first started arriving.
Yeah, we Tom, Jay, and I were all on the same flight pretty early in the morning. We had to leave Toronto at about 6 in the morning. No, 7 was when our flight left, so we had to actually leave our homes around 3:30 in the morning to go to the airport for all that fun security stuff. Rubber glove. So yeah, we were pretty tired. We landed about 9:10, got to the hotel at almost 10 o'clock, like between 1:45. We couldn't even check into our room. We just had them put our suitcases somewhere, and we went right to the floor. And immediately it's like, okay, let's do some battle royals and all that fun stuff. Tom and I think were in one right away to start. That he did okay in. I came third. That seemed to be my first two battle royals. I came third. The Rock and Rolls, they're fun. What was really cool? This was my first Rock World Cup. So I had been to Origins a couple times, and I've been to nationals and things like that. But this was my first only weekend of Clixed, and everybody had always said it was different. And yeah, it's I'm kind of repeating myself. I've said it when I was doing the commentary that this is a whole different kind of event, because you've got the elite players coming, but it's also an event that's only really about Heroclix. There's some side stuff, but this is really, it's not like a big gaming convention per se. So it was great to be around that kind of energy. The battle royals were fun right away to start. Everybody was really getting into it, and it was nice too, I think, because the pressure wasn't on at that point. There was going to be a lot of opportunities to get points going forward. So the early battle royals were probably the most fun battle royals, because people were like, hey, maybe I'll get 5 points, maybe I'll get 25 points. Whatevs, I got time. And I was lucky enough that I had my Ontario provincial win, so I knew I was in the semifinals. Because of I guess what you would say, copy and paste error, the point thing ended up being a little screwed up because I guess there was the quarterfinals last year, but there weren't this year. The points, the way they were listed on there, it said that you'd have your bye plus 100 points to make it into the finals. Well, it really should have been 150 points, because your bye was really equivalent 50 points. Yeah. Well, Howard honored that, because respectful guy, and I give him mad props for that. And I do props for a living, so that means a lot. So I thought that was pretty classy that he honored that 100 points. So for me, it was like, well, I brought 58 points with me, and I had my bye. So I was in a pretty good position. I only really needed 42 points, and there were a lot of opportunities to get those. So I had my first two battle royals, didn't really do well in them, wasn't really pulling well in them. So I got 5 points out of each of those. Then I just decided to try a hard rock. I wanted to fiddle around with this ruler team I had made, which was Al Jordan, which apparently is a big Canadian thing. There was comments made at this event that Canadians really like to play Al Jordan. I don't know what to say about that, other than I am a Canadian and I really do like to play Al Jordan. I
am Canadian and I like to play Al Jordan.
I actually heard that Paris was running him as well, so I guess he's a Canadian Texan.
Yeah, maybe by proxy Canadian. So anyway, so it was basically him, Maestro, a almost full teleporter, and the visible jet. And then also I have the Thunderstrike, Blood Axe, and Symbiote as part of Maestro's trophy room. And usually if I can win the map, I pick the office map, because I can drop the invisible jet in sort of the back corner room and hunker down in there, beef up my Maestro, and then he can run through it, right? And it doesn't destroy it, because it only gets destroyed when, it clicks and blah, 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 blah. So I tried it out. I think, what did I face first round? I think it was a Unimind, something like that. My team got kind of smoked. So I was out in the first round of the Hard Rock. So there's another 5 points. Already that's 15 points. And it was still pretty early in the day. And I said, okay, I think we got some food and stuff. And then I played in another Battle Royal. Well, wow, somehow I managed to pull out something awesome. God, I wish I could even remember what my team was. We played so much. There's so much Thor that I played that day. Yeah, honestly, I'm struggling to even remember what it was that I had that was so good. But yeah, I was crushing things on Thena, really. I had Thena. I had the Hulk, the common one that gets rage tokens and everything. Yep. I had Korg, so I was taking tokens off of, never even putting tokens on Hulk. I had Balder, so I had a conga line going of the three of them, so I could roll leadership with Balder to take tokens off of Korg, so that when Hulk would act, I'd put the tokens onto Korg instead. was a lot of fun. Meanwhile, Thena and Eric Masterson ran around blasting people with Psychic Blast for, you know, sometimes 6 damage.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. I was killing everything on the map pretty easily. I think I took like over 600 points in that battle royal. So I got 25 points from that. So next thing I knew, I was 2 points away from having enough to just go straight to the finals. So then we had our amazing Friday the 13th.
War of the critical miss.
So Jay, Tom, both Jays, Tom and myself, were able to play a battle royal together. Jason had finished doing his commentary for the day, and so we all sat down, opened some stuff. Should have known right from the start when we were all excited to open Chase Mjolnir Thor. But the thrown hammer that's coming off of him was broken off. It, like these 2 holes in his arm, and it had been broken off. And we're like, oh, well, that's pretty lame in a chase, but okay, you know. I was lucky enough to pull him. I also had Icarus. I've got TK and stuff. I basically sat in my starting area like a cheesy bastard. Had Mjolnir on him, and I would throw him out so he would charge and then, you know, hit somebody actually 6 squares away. Sorry, not hit somebody 6 squares away.
Because every time you critically missed with that Thor, a new piece fell off.
Well, that's it. My first attack was a crit miss. In fact, I had 3 crit misses over the course, just with that Thor alone. And as Jason mentioned, while we were playing the game, at one point his arm just fell off. Like, he was basically deteriorating in front of me, not just with die rolls, but his physical structure itself. But I was not the only one. I think we had 7 crit misses overall between us all. Everybody crit missed at least once in that game. It was a war of attrition. It definitely was just the most ridiculous game, but we had so much fun. I think everybody there couldn't understand what was going on in the corner. We were loud. So if you were there, you're probably wondering what that insane ruckus was near the end of Friday, or maybe more the middle point of Friday. That was us. So, and that was a ton of fun. I was really happy that that's the way the Friday finished. Again, feeling in a really good place because now I don't even have to play in the semifinals. So that was my Friday.
Awesome. All right, Jay, how was your Friday?
Tom picked me up at 3 a.m, and then we did airport stuff. Then we got to Atlanta we got to the hotel around 10, like Mike said. So you know how we were all expecting that Unimind guy to be a pain in the butt the whole weekend?
Yeah.
You know that guy? So I sit down my first battle royale, and the guy next to me pulls the Unimind. So that was not a fantastic start, because he's actually, I think, worse in battle royales because it's impossible. But if somebody pulls a Unimind, they have automatically won. You may as well not even play through the game. But I did get second, so I got 10 points there. Then I played a bunch of battle royales that day, got some cool. Pretty much everything I got was an extra, but it was something that either Tom or Mike needed. So it was basically like, oh, I got Groot Thor for Mike and Enchantress for Tom, so that was pretty cool. Played that other battle royale, just had some fun. Otherwise, not really particularly eventful, except for just having some fun. I did not do any hard rocks because I felt like I already had enough experience with my Joker's team that I was playing to suboptimally run. So I was like, I don't need any more practice because practice is So that was basically the gist of that day.
All right. So yeah, my time was spent behind the camera watching the Super Qualifier, and the Super Qualifier was a 300-point Rock Age limited event. So this isn't going to be an event where you see any resources and whatnot. Also, not with the Rock Age ban list either. But one observation I made is the winner of that event, Mr. Adam Friedman, won with just a Unimind. To be continued with further conversations throughout the day. It was an interesting tournament to watch, and it was a really good early look as to what people are thinking right now going into the next wave of limited tournaments. Because very soon, I mean, actually, it's post-Roctober, so guess what? limited seasons around the corner. So all rock events are going to be the limited format, at least the ones that are part of the ones that count. So and not most of them are going to be rock age, so this is still just kind of a slight peek. There was some interesting things I saw chosen. Adam, as an example, took his Unimind, also added a Thanos on the sideline and a Thane. So if he pops in on his last click, he's got a character that can Pulse Wave. If he pops in on his last click, he's also got a Thanos, who's is what he is. So it was an interesting series of choices. I don't think there were major factors in deciding his victory, but they're part of his victory for sure. So big congrats to him. It was a great time. And this was the part of the stream I like to call the low end of the curve. People asked, how did the stream go on Friday? And it was kind of a curve. As the day started, it was like stumble, stumble, stumble. Okay, we're getting better. All right, here we go. And eventually kind of came into my own on it. I was still running solo streams, and that went into a good part of the next day. But let's start talking about Saturday, where things got a little bit more on the exciting side. Now, Mike, as he said, had collected his points. He's ready for the finals. So in the meantime, Mike, while you're waiting for the semifinals, what did you get up to?
Well, I'd actually really hoped to get some Hard Rocks in because I gotta be honest, I've been really busy with work, and unfortunately, I have not been able to practice the way I wanted to practice. I'd got some in, but those practices were really more like fiddling with other stuff because, I mean, those who know me and have heard me talk, I'm always trying to sort of, I want to play what I love of the game, the reason why I got into the game. So often I'm trying to play thematic teams. Definitely I'm trying not to go along with the curve, which can hurt me in terms of competitive. Let's be honest. If it's really important to you to be competitive, you have to look at what's being played out there, and you have to think seriously about what works with it or against it. You can't just be like, no, I want to play this. That's not gonna take you far. But that being said, I think it's great to try things out and to look at all the other options that are out there. I did see a couple of teams this weekend that were actually really unique and interesting. Begrudgingly, I say that about Kenny's team. We'll talk more about that team later when we're talking about tomorrow, the finals, Sunday. But anyway, no Hard Rocks happening. The big problem was that we had the super qualifier going, we had semifinals that were happening, plus we had team worlds. So I was worried in the beginning because I had nobody to play with. I had not really been thinking about all the events that were happening that weekend, so I hadn't sort of secured teammates. And Team Worlds is like wicked fun. I remember how much fun Team Sarie had at Origins this year and last year, definitely in the original incarnation with Jay, Tom, and I, which was just insane fun. When we finished sixth in the world.
Sixth, yep.
Canada. I was feeling kind of sad. I'd had a chance to hook up with somebody else, but they didn't have anybody else. Anyway, I'm on my own. In a wonderful twist of fate for me, Kevin Fruz pulled a Kevin and didn't show up for Team Vaseline's game there with Tom and Jay Solomon there. So I luckily was there to jump in. So I got to be an all-Canadian team. We switched it up to being Team Sarie to help represent. We pulled some pretty good stuff, actually. We made 3 Asgardian theme teams that I thought were pretty good. They let me try out something interesting with Angela, a Valkyrie, the Captain America with the shield and the sword there. What else was there? Jane Foster and Lorelei. So it was actually a pretty good team. I had taxis, I had modifiers, I had Captain America who could run in and base people and tie them up, while Angela sort of sat back and could actually shoot at range if she wanted, or then come in. It was actually a really effective team, in theory. And I'll let Jay talk about what he built when he's talking about his stuff. And And Tom had a team. I can't remember 100% what it was, but it was basically based around the big Hulk with the hammer Hulk. I'm sure Jay remembers what it is, so I'll let him also tell you that. I really should have done better, but I had a couple of tough dice rolls, and I was up against some tough people, and like they were like barely missed out games until my last round when we already knew we were out. And then I faced Unimind. I faced Athena and a Makari that just completely picked my team. Oh, no, actually, no. The last one was the Unimind. Yeah, just completely crushed my team. Like, there's so little you can do about it, right? The guy's just all over the place. So anyway, but it was still a lot of fun. Again, I have to keep going back to it about what it's like to play against really high caliber players, but that also are respectful people and are gentlemen when they're playing. You know, it's like we talk things out and everybody kind of knows what everybody wants to do. And it's like, you know, I did this. Oh, wait, can I do? Yeah, of course you can do that, dude. You know, we're all also really learning these new rules. And I think it's important for everybody to help each other learn the new rules and understand that this whole beginning of turn thing and then the action phase is a tough thing to remember. A lot of us instinctually, you know, we pick some powers and then we say, okay, I'm probably going to perplex this. Wait a minute. Oh, I can't perplex because of free action. That means my beginning of turn is over. But I still want to do all this beginning, you know, like let's all talk it out. It's not chess where you take your hand off the piece. And so I like that everybody plays the don't be a dink. Makes the games more fun. So even when you're losing, you're having fun. So Team Worlds, awesome, good time. We didn't make it into the top cut, unfortunately. After that, Jason was kind enough to let me come and join him and do some commentary on some matches, which was super fun. That was awesome. I appreciated that, and it was a great way to finish the day. And then Jay and Tom and I went back to the room and we did some practicing. Unfortunately, I will say, and I'll talk a little more about that at the end of Sunday, or recap of Sunday. Really wish I had more time to practice and wasn't still figuring out what I wanted to play the night before. It really affected the outcome of what happened on Sunday. But really appreciate, again, Jay and Tom talking out the team, practicing with me. And it was a really good, like, let's open brainstorm practice, which is a great way to play. So it was an awesome way to finish the night. And as always, we sat around and laughed and had silly jokes and were really tired and had the silly giggles. So great Saturday.
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned that at some point during the class today, I may break into giggle mode. So we'll see. But Jay, your Saturday, how did that go, man?
We started with Team Worlds and Kevin being a gosh darn it Kevin, not showing up because I think Tony said that they went to bed at like 4 in the morning, and Team Worlds, yeah.
What a Furby.
Yeah, so we started at 9, so we actually had pretty good pulls overall. We got Angela Super Rare Prime, like Mike said. Then we got the Hulk Super Rare, and we got the Thor Odinson title character, who was what I played, along with one of the clone Loki, who is on his own still pretty decent with somebody you don't want to hit and you won't necessarily be able to hit with a super sensitive shape change. Has a really good stop click, outwit, and then I ended up having Asgardian theme between him and the title character, along with I actually played Volstagg at the lower points just for plasticity tie-up. So there was a bunch of games, and I managed to still miss attacks even with the 12 and maybe probs. Got to play Edward Sheldon for the first time, which was good. I played against Sam Powell, and she totally destroyed me because I had a character with Hypersonic, and she had Groot Thor. But it was still fun. And I can't remember what the last piece of Tom's team was, but I know he had the Hulk at full points. He had 2 of the common Thors. I think maybe he had a Sif to finish it off. But it was a bunch of characters, and they made close attacks, and Tom got to play Hulk, so it was all good. And then after we split everything up, I had already gotten the Angela just recently who I had wanted. So I ended up walking away with like the title character and some generics and Lokis and whatnot. So it was a good time there. I think I did a battle royale after that. I can't remember, but before the semis, and then I played in the semis with good mystical stuff, which ended up being Jakeem, who ended up picking up the Enchanted Crowbar, Al Jordan, because I'm Canadian. What else? Shifting Focus Strange, and I also had the Dr. Stark on the sideline just in case. He actually popped up a few times. I had Joker's Wild Green Lantern, and I had another piece that I totally don't remember what it was, but I had a fifth piece. Unless I already said it. I can't remember. My first round was a mirror match, which was really weird because I had a very, very specific team. I had the boxing on the team as well.
There it is.
Which was kind of relevant. Mirror match. If the guy didn't have the boxing ring, he was more inexperienced. From what I gathered, his friend made the team for him, so he didn't necessarily know exactly what was going on there, which can be a problem with the more complicated team that this was. So that ended up being a win for me with 190 points, I think. And then I played against Unimind round 2, who was at the partial points, or the 270 point line, along with a 75 point Goblin King, Ironheart, and his own boxing ring. And did he pick up a symbiote? I feel like he might have picked up I think he picked up a symbiote. So I did not think I was going to win this one, unfortunately. And by the time the game was over, he had one map roll, so I had the last turn, but they called last turn just after I had picked powers with Jakeem. And at that point, he would have been on one token, and then I would have pushed him instead of conservatively not pushed him. So I would have at least tried to go for the Goblin King points to at least get some points out of the loss, but I did not manage to do that. Then I played against Rennet Tilly, 2 Sam Caps, so Rennet Tilly ended up having like a 16 swing. Mini Shredder, General Lane, the Green, Haha Joker, and I think the Green Lantern. So he basically just moved all the way up. I made a mistake by not calling Stealth on Jakeem because then he had a million outwits and he outwitted everything I had on Jakeem and basically chewed through his dial in one turn. So I just decided to try and take some points, which I did, and then I lost. So then I knew I needed to win the last round, which is why I didn't do it. Played against, what was it? It was at this point I was already kind of feeling like I didn't care if I got into the finals as much because of what the competitive scene is now. It wasn't going to bother me if I lost, but it would have been nice to have gotten in. With the guy, it was Chameleon, Shredder Clone, who picked up the symbiote, Mini Shredder, Claw Shredder, Peace Machine. So yeah, good luck chewing through those dials. And I think he had no, he didn't have his own boxing ring. So I ended up losing that game because I wasn't really into it and whatnot. But still, it was a good time. The whole day overall was a good experience. Got to watch some of that fun play testing because I knew Tom and Mike were gonna be able to actually play. And that was basically it for that day.
All right. So I was on the stream, of course, and I was watching a whole different story, to say the least. The team sealed was very entertaining to watch and commentate on. So I do want to thank all the players who got under there, under the camera, and made it a great time, especially Mr. Scott Crampton over at Critical Clicks. He made one of the things that was neat about the setup that we had this year is we had a microphone coming from the camera that was at the table directly to the headphones that I had at the PC that we were streaming from. So what ended up happening is I was able to hear everything the players were saying, but that wasn't going out to the stream. That was just strictly going to my headphones. And Scott Crampton decided to make fun of me a few times during the entire thing. I had to mute the microphone during the stream just to laugh, because it was, some of the things he said were hilarious. And then we took a couple pictures together, which looked like mirror images, as Scott was making a lot of jokes about how the two of us look alike, us both being bald, bearded men. But once we got into the semifinal, things got very difficult to put under the camera, because, and this word is going to be heard a lot, the Unimind. The Unimind in the semifinal is a 400-point modern limited event, so there was a fair number of people playing a 400-point Unimind, and a lot of them, to get around the problem of stop clicks and regeneration, were packing Thunder Strikes. So they could, in that case, what you could do is you could combine the Steel Energy that Unimind has on the stop click with Thunder Strikes, the Thunder Strike Hammer, to knock back, heal from the Steel Energy, heal from the Thunder Strikes Hammer, and you get those 2 clicks of health that you just took to get to the stop click back. It's a pretty insane combination, and there was a point by about the second round I had to start getting from the 10th table. This is how dominant this figure was as a force. It wasn't so much that I was skipping over the figure in general. I did have it on one game in the stream against a set of shredders, but once it started getting into the idea of the mirror match possibilities, or the, watching it is like on every single game, could get very trying for the fans. So I did my best to make sure that I varied the play, but a lot. But it started getting insane as to which tables I was picking from. But one thing I do like to do is when we get to the final round of Swiss, I like to get a game from the bubble. For one, the top table game, both players are in, neither player is fully invested in it for the most part. I mean, if you got 2 undefeated guys playing at the top table, one loses, nothing really changed about the tournament. But when I grab a game from the bubble, where if either player loses, they're not making it, or they're not getting to that next stage of the tournament, that's 2 players who are going to play the heck out of the game. And the 4th round, I could not resist the chance to get a player who's playing 2 Batrocs on his team. One, to use my Batroc Zeliper, French.
Zeliper,
beware Zeliper.
That was so worth it.
That was worth it.
That was a good pick.
Yeah, and to see some really cool strats out of that too. So that was kind of the thing. But this day as a whole, when we finished the streaming for the day, I realized I had been behind the camera, but in front of the camera, behind the mic, for 15 hours. It's a lot of time. And, combine that with the 11 hours we were there the day before. I'm basically just talking into a microphone all weekend. I've played 1 game of Clixed at this point. I don't even know what I'm doing with my life going into Sunday. And Sunday being, of course, the day of the finals. So we'll now move into Sunday, as it is. And we're going to start with Jay this time around because, let's go shortest to longest. No offense, Jay.
Oh yeah, so that was end up being what I called the whirlwind of emotions.
This is a great story, by the way.
So I was 99% sure that if you played in the semis and you still had 200 points, you were not allowed to get in. But then I was told otherwise, and I got the 200 points for actually not a bad price, a pretty reasonable price, thanks to my lovely friend Scott Crampton. And I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna be in. And then Howard had to politely be like, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. And I'm like, oh, I can't get mad at you, Howard. You were just so polite and so southern. It was impossible to be mad. And also I confirmed with him that my 200 points would be good, so I will actually play in the finals next year, surprising everybody, including myself. But it also turned out that I had forgotten my teleporter, because that would have been really, really bad for that event. And I figured this out because I then went to play in the consolation tournament, which was and it was free, just 300 modern whatever. People brought their teams basically for the event. I was playing basically the Chair Joker team. With the slight modification of, thanks to some rules changes, the whether or not you play the Joker Thug or the regular Thug was questionable before, but I think now you just have to play the regular Thug because Underworld now doesn't require you to share the keyword share the team ability, so it's just you can carry a shared keyword character, which is amazing. And the not mastermind but not mastermind trait just helps so much against Green Arrow, who's just one of the biggest problems. And that actually ended up saving me in one game because my opponent in the last round didn't actually know what would happen and tried to Green Arrow me, and I was like, okay, you killed a thug. Good job. So I actually ended up winning the constellation tournament with having to not use most of my ID cards nor my resource. It was a good time. I played against 3 cool players. One of my games was against somebody actually playing Tyrannus, a bunch of Retaliators, and Chase Odin. So Retaliators make every single Moloid ever, and all of the pogs that Odin makes. And at one point, I had an Adam Claus Retaliate, and I think kill at least 10 things, and it was just wonderful. So I ended up walking away with the map, the new map that Ed had made for his winning last year, on top of having finally gotten the zipline map, which I've wanted because I did won the Clixed thing. Oh, and then more mixed emotions. I went to play in another battle royale that ended up being funsies, which annoyed me a little bit because Phil, what's his name? Phil Senior pulled Beta Ray Bill. Not that I would have gotten it because he destroyed everybody, but it was cool to play against Beta Ray Bill at least. So that happened. I had dinner with Tiago, which was great because we said we were gonna get a drink, and then it never happened, and then we did. And then that was basically it. So I ended up walking away with 2 new rock maps, which is always cool. Bunch of cool Thor stuff that I didn't have before. And it was just a great experience all around. I got to watch a lot of games that day by players who were good and unlike me. And I got to watch basically a lot of Adam games, which are just so fun. Especially that game that was on the stream against Tiago, because that was just such a nail biter. Overall, just great experience. Happy to have been there to see all the people and hang out with all the Canadians because, of course, had to play a lot of games against Canadians after all that travel. It was just a fantastic trip.
Awesome. All right, Mike. Sunday.
Sunday, it's all happening Sunday. Oh man, Sunday. Well, I in sad black heart, sold my soul fashion went with Unimind.
You, along with 19 people in the top 32, 4 players that I played against in the entire tournament, and whatever number that didn't qualify for the top 32.
You know, everything that I had tried out in practice just got smoked by Unimind. So what else? And what do you think I paired up with Unimind? Al Jordan. Because I'm Canadian. I guess this is a thing. I guess maple syrup and Al Jordan.
It might just be us. So let's.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of Canadians are there.
Popular Canadians that a lot of American Heroclix players know. So let's not make it. Let's not blanket all of us, right?
No, but man, I like him so much. I just can't help myself. Like he's just so much fun. I think because I like pick a power with a limit. You know, like I loved Trinity War Batman so much. I miss him. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I like pick a power with a limit. You know, like I don't want this insane over the top stuff. So it's part of why I like Al Jordan. And actually, I love the whole size changing thing. So part of what he's there for is in a pinch he can be a taxi for Unimind. So I can be small to be brought with Unimind, and then, actually I can just stay boot. Well, actually, no, you have to pick something anyway. Or I can be giant to suddenly sidestep and reposition Unimind. Excuse me. So it was the two of them. Almost full teleporter. No, full teleporter. I was just thinking of my ruler team. And invisible jet. Because I really... wait, no? Did I play invisible jet? No, I changed my mind on that. Sorry. I went with the symbiote. That's right. I went with the symbiote because really it makes the most sense to I TK Unimind onto the symbiote. I pick it up immediately first turn. Now I've got plasticity. I'm automatically breaking away and I've got shape change. It great defensive move. It's worked out really well. Normally, rock dice. Anyway, this is my team. First round, I'm playing against this guy, Nick. Wish I could remember his name. Really super nice guy. I've seen him around before. Great player. Mad props to him. He played 2 Batrocks.
Oh, it's Nick Springer.
Okay, Nick Springer. So he played 2 Batrocks. Nick Springer, awesome team. Super nice guy. We had a really classy gentleman's game. A lot of fun. Shifting Focus Batman. Gertrude Old Lace, Overdrive, Casey Spectre, and Carnage, and a Frost Giant. So, plus the boxing ring. Crazy huge team. I knew right away with my 2 guys versus his insane amount of guys was going to be tough. I had to play smart. You know, he's just going to come rushing me in. Thank you again to Jay Solomon. I have to give him credit for helping me with that win because he lent me the cargo map. And that was a great map, obviously, to pick against a swarm team like that, plus with Colossal Retaliators. It gave me a lot of places to position myself. It ended up being less so about those issues, but more about positioning with Unimind, running, and gunning. So anyway, he comes right out. He actually goes right for Al Jordan because obviously he's my weaker link on the team. And if you put all that energy into killing Unimind, again, you don't get any points for that. All of a sudden, you've got 3 other guys on the map. The biggest problem with fighting against Unimind, and especially with the new rules and how much longer games are taking in this shorter sort of game time, which is like only 45 minutes, you're not ever, well, not ever, but it's hard to get those points. You know, you kill Unimind, all of a sudden these Eternals come out. You think you're going to be able to snatch them up. Oh, wow, it's already time? Like, how many turns did we have? It's crazy. So anyway, he comes right out across the map. He does hurt Al Jordan, but I pop out Hawkeye with Al Jordan, and I start popping Batrocks, Batman. I hurt everybody on his team, and, well, almost everybody. Gertrude is way back at the back. Frost Giant's at the back, but I take out Carnage, and I hurt everybody else on his team for at least 1. And then Unimind takes out like a couple of other pieces. And basically, Al Jordan dies. I'm okay with it, though. I'm down on those 90 points. But Unimind has already started running and gunning. I'm picking 2 targets as I run. I'm hitting both. The craziest part, and this is how broken Unimind can be, I rolled 7 3s in that game, and they were all hits. I didn't have to re-roll any of those things. A 3, so a 2 and a 1, every one of those was a successful hit. My opponent is using his Spectre to re-roll my 3s. That's crazy to me. I crushed Nick's team, 300 points, only losing Al Jordan, and everything went my way. Well, of course, this sends me up to table 3. And I'm against Ryan, and I can't remember his last name, younger guy, kind of reddish hair, spiky hair.
Stevenson.
Yes.
He was under the camera at one point. So
yeah, he's playing
second place in the day 1 super qualifier with the super
Exactly. He, of course, is playing Unimind.
Oh, really? He was playing Unimind too?
Yeah, with, and guess who he was playing him with? Nighthawk Prime.
Oh, and people were doing that?
I No. What? So this was the trend. This ended up being the trend. As we suffered through, this ended up being the trend for Sunday. Everybody's team basically was, or the really big teams were the Nighthawk Unimind, Nighthawk Prime Unimind combo, because it makes sense. I guess it's like Unihawk Prime. Maybe we'll call it that.
Yeah, Unihawk Prime. Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
Unihawk Prime says.
Anyway, that's working for you. So Unihawk Prime really is it makes the most sense, right? Because you're jacking up your stats and you're preventing your opponent from doing that until the mirror match. But I digress. I still feel confident because I've got my own Unimind. I know what I'm in for, or at least I think I do. This is where now I get back to the whole thing about picking your team the night before and not practicing. So now where I'm lacking the sort of confidence is that I'm not thinking of nuanced ways to deal with his team necessarily. I know I need to take out that Nighthawk. I'm going to try and move around. But I make the hugest, colossal mistake of deciding that I'm going to use my perplexes even though I know they're not helping me, because I want to get in the habit for when I am eventually get a close attack on that Nighthawk. Well, I do this. Nighthawk walks out and outwits me. Oh, yeah. He has outwit.
Hi, my name is Mike.
No, Mike, no.
Hi, my name is Mike. This is my first day.
So, yeah, that was that. He murdered Unimind. My Eternals popped out. I murdered Nighthawk Prime. He wiped out 2 of my Eternals. And then time happened, which was actually a surprise because it felt really early in the game because he killed Unimind in turn 2. But all the picking and the conjecture and the even he was making little mistakes and stuff. There was plenty of times where it'd be like, "Oh, I meant to say this. Is that cool?" And we're like, "Yeah, of course it is." Don't be a dink rule in place, and respect Ryan for that as well. But he crushes my team, right? He takes 540 points or whatever of my team. It's gross. It's gross. It hurt inside. So then I drop way down. I wish I could remember the names of my next opponent. He had Venom, Hulk, Goblin King at 75, Surtur, and Bizarro, and the boxing ring. So he picks map. He of course picks the sports arena map to get the whole mappy bonus thing. He's playing the stats game where he's inside the ring. He's got Bizarro. He put the +1 to Bizarro's defense. He puts the Asgardian shield on Bizarro. He was part of the same group that the eventual world champ, Daniel, World Cup champ there. Yeah, his group, I can't remember the name of them now. Clixed Off. So he was another Clixed Off member. Again, I'm sorry I don't remember your name. Hopefully you know what team I'm talking about. Another super classy guy. A lot of times talking things out, and you probably want to say that. Yeah, you're right. So big up to you as well. It was a really tough game. I knew I was in for it. The numbers were there. I feel like I made some good plays. He had a Nightwing in the ring there. I went for those points, keeping myself way back. I basically stayed in the first 3 rows of my map, of my end of the map, almost the entire game, just sniping. 6. Rolls that 6 on Super Senses on Nightwing. I don't get to kill him on the call-in. It was a close game. He took a little over 200 points, and I took about 40, 50 in that zone. So chances were there for me. But again, it was another one of those games where there were so many things to go through and pick. We really didn't play a lot of turns. It went to time. I had another loss. So now I drop all the way down to the bottom end. the bracket, but I'm still 1-2. A lot of people have dropped, and I actually still have a chance. And in fact, I face off against a team that potentially I could get the points to come back in, because there's a Mistress Death and there's a Unimind. It was Marshall.
Nope, that's new to me.
Don't know his last name. He said he's been there before.
Lying?
Is it? I can't remember. He said he's been in the top 32 before, I believe.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
So yeah, his team is just Unimind, Mistress Death, Mjolnir. We end up on the office map, and it's just a lot of posturing in the beginning of us, making little moves to get into a position to figure out like who's going to go for the strike first. Well, this takes so much time in the game that I managed to I kill his Mr. Death once. I kill his Unimind, but he actually managed to kill my green arrow that I called in, and my Spider-Man that I called in, Cosmic Spider-Man. So he never actually killed my main guys, but he killed two of my call-ins. So he wins on points. Neither one of us make the cut because there were no points there. Now, of course, if I finish 1-3 in the whole thing. It was a little tough. I mean, it was a little tough to take, obviously, because of that gigantic mistake against Ryan. Who knows what would happen after that? But oh man, what a great experience as always. I love playing against that caliber of player and the gentleman type games. I learned so much. I saw so many things, and then again, I also got to then go and join Jason and do some commentary for a while.
Learn on how my finals went.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I think anybody who watched the stream also knew.
Yeah.
So that was super fun. I won't go into too much detail about that. I'll wait until we get to that when Jason's recapping. But that was tons and tons of fun. And also, too, the relationships that I made with people. Big shout out to Pedro and Diego, both at different times Brazilian champions. So fantastic meeting these guys this weekend. They were so much fun. Pedro and I were next to each other in the loser end at the end there. So we were kind of like elbowing each other and making fun. We both had a moment of forgetting about Nighthawk and Outwit, only it was him forgetting his own. And as I said, me and Ryan's game. So it was really, I was still having fun, losing huge and big time. Yelling out Zuko. Yeah, it was still a fantastic Sunday. No regrets, regardless of I think I was 47th out of 49th. 49th
Yeah,
out of
I was 47th.
Yeah, out of
85.
85. So not bad for my first World Cup. I feel not bad. I know what I need to do next year. Practice. Commit to my team beforehand. No more of this like changing my mind the night before stuff. Next year it's like lock it down, commit, and go for it. So great day.
Yeah. Now here's the funny thing is I went with a team that was super practice, but you can practice all you want sometimes with the team, and then the metagame shifts on you so hard that it absolutely obliterates your team out of the metagame. And that's what happened to me. Now I'd like to say that Mike had the same problem with me, but he was part of the problem that I had. As in, I had 4 rounds of Swiss, 4 rounds against Unimind, 3 rounds with a Nighthawk Prime. Now, my team, I've been playing it for a little while. For those of you who watch the show, it'll sound familiar. It has been Devil Dinosaur, Al Jordan, the Penguin, along with the Justice League Teleporter, and some mixture of Colossal Retaliations throughout time. Right now, or this particular event, I ran it with 2 Carnages and an Ameridroid. My map choices included the WizKids Office. I just like that map. If I have to force a game of Heroclix against an opponent, I will do it. Unfortunately, you don't get a game of Heroclix against Unimind no matter what you do. So, and then my second map was the Warehouse 15468 Warehouse plus numbers. The other WizKids, one of the other WizKids premium maps. And then my third map was the Bifrost. Now, the Bifrost was probably going to be the one I used the most. For one, because it helps me deal some damage to the Unimind. and I do have the ability to shift and move it where I need it to be. And it's a factor in my play with this team, but things didn't go the way as planned. My first round was against Chris, last name forgotten. His version of the Unimind Nighthawk Prime had the ha 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 Joker, and he had a supreme intelligence on his Unimind, which was also a common theme on Uniminds. A couple ID cards as the standard. This was a situation where I just couldn't get anything to stick to the Nighthawk Prime long enough, and I also lost my Nightwing on a stupid charge flurry. So many of the things that I've brought on this team, their purpose is to increase stats, and I said it myself, and I should have known darn well better. Relying on this much stat increasing and not enough other factors, and a Nighthawk Prime, it becomes part of a dominant strategy. And I said the words myself, and that's neither here nor there. So I made a ton of mistakes in the first game, forgetting, I've forgotten about Nighthawk Prime for months now, and no matter what I could do, what I tried to do, I couldn't get Nighthawk Prime down fast enough in order to put the game in my favor. There was a chance towards the end to kill the Unimind, but what good was that going to do me? Because, I kill him, and then 3 other things pop up, and I've scored no points for that. And that's part of the conversation I want to have later on. The next game I played against was Brett Ray. Brett was also playing a Unimind and Nighthawk Prime, also with a ha 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 Joker. Now, this game came to an unfortunate dice roll and a little bit of greed that worked in my favor. The game was kind of progressing as it was. Brett made some attacks against my Pogs with his Joker, slowly moving my round table up a fair bit, and allowing me some colossal retaliations with my Carnages to get out some more of my Carnage tokens. So, because I think Carnage and the Carnage tokens in this particular game were the MVPs until about the midway point. So what ended up happening is Brett realized that my Carnages were doing what they were doing. And sorry, there's some fruit flies in the house that you'll see me swiping at. He made an attempt on one of my on a Rockabilly Modoc that I had made with the Devil Dinosaur. He killed my Homicide Crabs, which I've been leading out first because for the most part they're there for the forced positioning against the Unimind. They're not really going to do anything. Once he picks a power, the Pulse Wave is not going to do much. So I'm trying to force positioning with the Homicide Crabs without giving up the effectiveness of the Pog itself. So once I've kind of got the positioning I want, and then I've got my Rockabilly Modocs where I want them, he starts to try to get rid of those. He makes an attack on one with his Unimind and actually critically misses. So it puts the Unimind on its third click. It's second click, sorry, with 4 clicks left of health. This is kind of the countdown, as it were. And so he has to kind of hide behind some blocking. He missed, so I can't really retaliate on him. I continue to try to attack the Joker with my Carnage Pogs, neither here nor there. He then realizes the threat that my Carnages are posing and makes an attack at one of my Carnages, which is what I needed. He hits this Carnage, but he has to use his power, his Perplex bonus, to increase his range and attack value in order to, guarantee the hit on my Carnage and not be worried about it. I guess Brett missed the fact that I had the Ameridroid in this case, but I went for a big risk reward kind of situation on this. He makes the attack. I attack with my Ameridroid, and my Ameridroid, as expected, doesn't hit. Puts the Unimind right next to my team, basically. So I follow up with a call-in with the Green Arrow, who does hit for 3 damage. He's now on his stop click. And I attack one more time and deal the damage I need to finish him off. Finish off the Unimind. But now I've got the 3 Eternals to deal with. And also, at one point, Yeah, Hawkeye had been called in by Brett at one point. I tried to use Hawkeye to finish off the Eternals. That wasn't happening. There's a large series of things that just made this game go on. And then we got into the last round. I got the last turn because Brett chose the map. The map we were playing was the Mexican border outpost, which was one of the rock maps. And then this is the turn where every single dice roll hit an Eternal. I exploit weakness with a penguin. I shot with a with my Al Jordan, managed to hit, and I needed a 9 because he perplexed up defenses. It was in hindering terrain with a Devil Dinosaur, and I hit that. Like, dice were just going my way on the last round, so I ended up scoring 460 points. Great second round for me. But then that leads me into round 3 with a double whammy of, yes, it's a Unimind, and it's also Daniel Joines, 2-time world champion. Daniel Joines is not a bad player. He's a 2-time world champion, kids. So his team this is the only team of Uniminds I played that did not have a Nighthawk Prime. He actually had the 75-point Goblin King to back his up, along with a Frost Giant and a Carnage. Let me tell you, this game was all levels of ridiculous, all levels of intense, and it really came down to a series of what just happened moments. The first of which was Daniel being able to Colossal Retaliate on 3 or 4 of my figures with his Frost Giant. I prob it into a miss. He probs it into a critical hit. So he hits 4 of my characters with 3 damage, so it becomes 4 damage. My Al Jordan is way over there. My Green Arrow, which I called in to do a ton of damage to the Unimind, is down to super senses. I'm in the range of giving up so many points right now. It's ridiculous. And I kill that. I kill his Unimind. Oddly enough, in an attempt to kill his Unimind, my Ameridroid couldn't miss an attack in this particular game, let me tell you. I did win the map roll, put it in the Bifrost, and I was trying to use Ameridroid to put things in the Bifrost special terrain, and he was hitting. And I was like, okay, well, things are dying now. What am I supposed to do? So what ended up happening is I get his Unimind dead. There's the 3 Eternals, and his Eternals are double tokened. So I get the Pulse Wave Penguin really close to them, but my Penguin is now dead. My Al Jordan is dead. I've got Devil Dinosaur on the board. Devil Dinosaur has 1 action token after trying to call in another character who escapes me right now. I forgot what I tried to call him with it. It didn't work, ultimately, is the point. I try to Pulse Wave Penguin, and I needed a 7 to kill the last 2 figures on his team, and didn't do that. I missed. And then his last 2 figures on his team were able to call in ID cards over 2 turns. With 1 being a Green Arrow. No, not a Green Arrow. It was something else. I can't remember. But either way, Athena ended up double adding a 2nd token to my Devil Dinosaur. Makari called in something that just was a nightmare to me. I ended up on my non-call-in token clicks on Devil Dinosaur. I had to clear, and it just all crumbled on me by missing. Like, it really came down to the fact that because I missed that Pulse Wave with that Penguin, I had no chance after that. So Daniel won that one. It was a heck of a game. Like, he won 380 to 190, but that's not reflective of exactly how close that game really was. Great. This is my 2nd time playing Daniel Joines. This time it was less of a rout than it was the first time I played against him. But great player, and I'm so 0-2 against him. It's probably why I'm not a high caliber player. Going to the 4th round, I've got a lot of points kind of courtesy of that 2nd round, and my 3rd round loss was not the worst. So I'm still there. I'm still on that bubble where I got to win it out. And I'm up against my opponent was Zach Higgins, I believe. Big fan of Devil Dinosaur, apparently, but he was also playing a Unimind and Nighthawk Prime, reading the metagame as it was. He also backed that up with a Mangog and a Carnage. it didn't happen for me. That's really all it is. I made a series of actions and put everything I could into attempting to get his Unimind gone. My big move was to try to have the uncommon Superman charge near where I got the I have his Unimind near the Bifrost, like one square away, so I could charge, knock him back with the Superman who's got super strength into it, and then it's an additional free damage. But that only deals 3 damage to it. I've got to still finish it with 2 more damage come the next turn. I just couldn't get that 2 damage onto the Unimind to get those Eternals out. I only ended up scoring 50 points in this game. Unimind on his last click for a good portion of this game, and just nothing wanted to happen for me on this one either. So I'm 1-3 and out. I'm back in the booth, as it were. But Mike was nice enough to join me for the final commentary. A couple stats going into the top 32, 19 teams with the Unimind in some way or shape or form, and 25 carnages across the 32. We didn't get an exact number if it was 25 teams that had carnages or if it was 25. What?
It wasn't 25 teams.
Okay, so it was 25 carnages. Some teams had multiple carnages, and that's kind of how it went. My team had multiple carnages. I know Easton Brock's team had multiple carnages, so those numbers kind of get skewed in that way. And yeah, it was a lot of interesting games. But what it came down to when we were doing the stream, almost every single game on the stream, with the exception of one in the top 32, the 4 rounds that or the 5 rounds that there were, had a Unimind on at least one team. And I think one of the more exciting ones was Kenny Pina's team, as he's just able to create characters. He's got Mistress Death doubling up damage, and it was a really cool team. And it was a shame there was some shape change Super Sense rolls that just stopped him from getting the big win on that one.
That was definitely Dice stepping in and determining something there, because he was doing everything he wanted in theory, like. It was a crazy team, man. Watching those Wakandan warriors pop out and everything. Props to him again for an interesting build.
Yeah. What was more interesting as well is that, or was further interesting, rather, was even though a lot of the matchups that we were recording on the stream were Unimind versus Unimind, it's not a boring game to commentate on or watch. Both players have to play it well. There's so many different things that can go really weird. And there's enough minutia and difference in the builds that you can start to see where little things start to add up to bigger and bigger things in that particular mirror matchup. It was one of the things I definitely noticed with a lot of matchups Easton had and matchups that Daniel Powell had. Adam Friedman was on the stream for a little while there, actually. To be honest, he ended up in the top 4 of this event. So. But the big takeaway in all of this, and that's not to take away from Mr. Daniel Powell, congratulations. This is he's one of the podcasters over there on the Critical Clixed. He won the 2017 Rock World Championships. He is the 2017 Rock World Champion. Ended up beating out Easton Brock in the top 2. This is Easton's second appearance in the top 2 of the Rock World Cup as well.
And it was 11 points, right? It ended up being 11.
Yeah, it was like 11 or 10 points.
Because there was the ID calling at the end or something like that, or 10 points.
It would have been 15 points because of the ID calling, but the ID calling was a troll.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It was so, oh my God, like definitely what an amazing match, even though it was a mirror match. It was so down to the wire. Literally came down to Unimind. It's like, oh, I'm up, you're up. Oh, man. Wow, riveting. Amazing.
Yeah. Now, before we get into our commentary about things, I do want to address something that came up in the Twitch chat, and it is the difference between stalling and turtling. And this is your public service announcement for the week. Turtling is playing the game of Heroclix, but in a way that is hard to do anything to. So, as an example, Easton Brock in this game was running away with his Unimind. And because of that, Daniel was forced to have to chase him, but moves were being taken, turns were being taken, actions were going on, multiple turns had occurred. That is not stalling, that is turtling or avoiding. Stalling is sitting there staring at a number of Heroclix for about 5 or 10, or staring at a single Heroclix even for 5-10 minutes, not even counting squares or not doing anything, or just causing time to pass. And those are the two major differences. If you take quick turns, move away, quick turns, move away, quick turns, avoid being attacked, that is not stalling.
Yeah, it's like in the team world when I was playing my Angela team, and I ended up on a map that Subway won. So I actually blew a hole in. I have the high ground. Angela was the only character with range, and I was forcing the other team to come to me. Well, I just cleared, perplex defense, go, perplex defense, go. That's turtling, but that's not stalling. And it's a strategy. If you know moving out your team puts your team at risk, you've got the high ground, you're in a position to win, you take it. That's how you play the game.
As well, a lot of people, while watching the stream, don't have access to what I was hearing. Actually, nobody has access to that, only I'm hearing. So when a conversation occurs between the two players and the judges or anything like as such, the turn will extend a little bit of time. So you got to be aware of what might be going on. Or listen to what I'm saying when I say the judge and the players are having a discussion, because that's also not stalling. It's the questions have to get asked, things have to get done. Sometimes rulings need to be made, and so it ultimately, in the end, in the finals, there was no particular instance, like no member of the finals could even consider being accused of stalling. So with that said, let's talk about the state of the game post-Roctober. And I want to start with, how did the limited format, the resourceless format, become the most disgusting, broken thing in the world?
Yeah, I am so happy I didn't have to play in the semifinal. And that's ironic because I had said to people I was so excited to play them. I thought limited was better. There was all these things that I didn't have to deal with. There was a time when Heroclix used to be sold as everything is on the map. Like, that was one of the big selling points of the game. That's why people should come and play it, because it's a pick up and go game. You don't have to have all these extra elements. Well, it's very much the opposite of that now. So the limited format feels like it should be that. Well, yeah, no, it's gross. It's filthy. It's Unimind.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say Unimind doesn't dominate constructed play, but, man, the return of the one-man army, when was the last time we've seen a one-man army in any format? I mean, Jay, any thoughts there?
Do we count Trinity War Luther or not? Because he has basically an army behind him.
That's still following tentpole because he's got things there.
Right. I guess, yeah. It's been a while now.
Yeah. So,
although I would say my Joker team is kind of like that, because it's basically the modern equivalent of that, where it's basically Joker, ha ha ha, as a distraction. But basically, yeah, as far as the big, actual, not fringy competitive play goes, yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a one-man army.
Yeah, and we're still talking specifically in limited. I mean, I've seen some attempts in constructed, some interesting, but ultimately focusing strictly on the limited format in that manner. So, but yeah, because I believe that Lex team was the Lex, a couple of Atomicas, and a series of ID cards, which don't fall into the limited or the ID limited.
Right.
And I also don't think the Eternal or the Unimind team is as terrible in the constructed environment, because you do still have things like the Hawkeye ID call-in in order to try to finish off those last couple Eternals that might have come out of things. And here's the thing. I came close in – I can say I came close in a couple of the games I played in, and the scores don't reflect that. And this is an important element, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Hurts the most about the Unimind.
Yeah, definitely. There was my loss to Marshall. There was totally a chance there because Unimind had died. Those Eternals had popped on the map. Like, if I had maybe 5 minutes more, which, well, man, how many times have we said that? If I had 5 minutes more, but yeah, definitely, he's obviously dominating in constructed, but it's winnable. It's beatable. It could go either way at times with dice. But limited, it's just gross. He's just so filthy gross.
Yeah. So now I can't tell you what the most common story of playing against a Unimind is. I took all of my actions to kill the Unimind. He was dead. And then there's the Eternals and time was called. And you haven't scored anything because no matter how much work you put into this character, it takes a lot to kill this 5-click character. It takes so much effort to kill him between his ability to get stat boosts, his protection from the power we rely on, ladies and gentlemen. Pulse Wave is useless against him.
Yeah, man. All you got to do is you have Seriously on the side, you pick Stealth, you get him into Hindering. The powers you pick from them are Pulse Wave Immune or Protected Pulse Wave. So you can't even draw the line of fire to him to even try to Pulse Wave him.
That's right. Or if he should choose Impervious and you have a 2-damage Pulse Wave.
Yeah, and because unless you can see through that hindering as well, great way for him to protect himself from being outwitted. So you can happily, boost his defense up +4.
Yeah.
So gross.
There's so many combinations of things that he's got. I feel like him not scoring for dying is one of the biggest irks about him. And I understand 100% that the rule is the rule. He is being replaced by these guys, but it's just so brutal. And another thing worth noting too, people are so ready for the Unimind that we blew the dust off. Like, how long has it been since we've seen Nighthawk Prime as such a dominant force in the game? And almost every, the top 2 teams, I think the top 4 teams even.
Yeah, top 4 teams.
Yeah, all the top 4 was Nighthawk Unimind.
Nighthawk Prime and Unimind.
Six of the top 8
back. Yeah.
6 of the top 8 were Nighthawk Unimind.
So welcome back to the rule of the world of the Nighthawk. Now, I'm all over the place. I'm also very tired, so I apologize. I'm stumbling all over myself here as we do this live, but I'm so divided on this because this is one of those situations where it's a character who's strong, a character who's good, and it's still not even on the level of Faust because I'm still able to play Heroclix. I've now just got to adapt to this somehow, and I feel like we maybe need the tools to do it, or no. I mean, the only thing I feel like they should, if they do change Unimind, because he's good, he's great, he's also low-clicked, so he does need a little bit of oomph. So the protection from Pulse Wave on the defense power makes him good, but you're still dealing with a 5-click character, and there's enough characters that ignore hindering. I feel like we should be scoring the Unimind. It should be an effect that when he is KO'd, boom, put those guys on the board. Again, my personal thoughts on it, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you think the Unimind needs a nerf? He was dominant, but do you also have a suggestion if you do feel he needs to be nerfed? I'm going to let Mike take the lead on this one.
I would say at first I was 100% in agreement with what you're saying, the idea of scoring him when he first dies. I'm kind of 75% there now. And what I mean is one of the problems with just making that fix is the flip side is if you're having a long battle, it's getting close to time, fine, you kill Unimind, the Eternals pop out, they're super fragile.
Yeah.
If you have a follow-up attack, it is not hard to kill 1, 2, maybe even 3 Eternals. Who knows? I mean, it's really all about actions, right? So I guess it's tough when knowing that you could kill Unimind and score 150 points, and then you could also score the full points of all those Eternals. That seems huge. I wonder if I do think there has to be some scoring that happens when Unimind dies. Mm-hmm. That 100% I think has to happen to make the effort. Like you said, he is still difficult to get at least to that place. You should definitely score something, but I wonder if it's a portion of points, either based upon his starting line or how many Eternals come out.
So without overcomplicating it, perhaps maybe, like you said, based on the number of returnals that come out, score the blue flame.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
something like that. You know, at least you get the 15 points from that. I don't know. I'm just kicking it around there. I do think that no matter what, though, you should score something for killing him the first time. You know, it is a game about taking points. To be forced to put all that effort into dealing with him, especially if he's a one-man army, I just think that something like that has to happen.
Okay. Jay, your thoughts?
I was thinking in relation to the scoring thing, you could say you let's say you score 150 points, but you can't score the first Eternal you kill, so it's kind of like he pops into the 3 Eternals, you score one of them, equivalent kind of thing. Maybe. Because the blue flame, like that 15 points is really insignificant compared to how many points he costs.
It's insignificant until you realize that, again, like Mike said, they're fragile Eternals are on their last click, and there's not a single one below 100 points. Or
yeah. The other thing with Unimind is that we all knew exactly what was coming, but
we all had the idea.
one competitive player, one player brought something basically that wasn't Unimind or Jakeem to try and take him down.
Yeah.
So we have all these competitive players who think that he's still the optimal play, even when he's the obvious play.
Yeah.
That signals a problem for me.
Now,
because you'd think, oh, it's the most obvious play. People are going to counter build it. But, you know, and then Kenny, presumably built to beat Unimind, but even that didn't work, specifically counter building it. So, yeah. I also think the ability to buff ID cards the way he can is just crazy. And the fact that the other Eternals can only double up their own stats might be a good thing to consider. Like the fact that you could do now a 13-4 Hawkeye and then pick a prob and then pick a defensive power on your opponent's turn. It's so much going on.
Yeah, that might be.
And also the whole pulse wave stealth interaction is a bit ridiculous, considering that it's supposed to equalize things, but even then.
Yeah. Well,
if you don't have a Green Lantern or a stealth busting call in, that's it. He calls stealth, he's safe, even if he picks Heroclix, like Mike said. So
yeah, now,
something has definitely got to be done.
If I may redirect the conversation, because I wanted to have both conversations in regards to this, is it maybe not Unimind the problem, and maybe Nighthawk Prime made it that ridiculously over the top? Because we got to ask the question at this point now. With the Unimind as strong and as prevalent as it was, but a lot of players playing it in combination, and a lot of the top players playing it in combination with the Nighthawk Prime, 1, to kill the mirror match, and 2, that's just a useful ability or a useful pairing. Is it maybe Nighthawk Prime that's actually putting Unimind over the top? And since, come this year, Nighthawk Prime is going to retire, we just have to deal with this for the number I had written up, the 9 months that Nighthawk Prime has left, and once he's gone, does that take Unimind off of the top? But does the conversation have to happen? Is maybe Nighthawk Prime, like Nighthawk Prime's always been good. We've never had an issue with him as he is. His ability to stop you from increasing stats, but also having a balance of, if you happen to be next to me, well, you're going to get your stats back now, is kind of a balancing factor. All of this said, is it Unimind and Nighthawk Prime, or is it just Unimind in the conversation right now? And Jay, I'll let you start with your opinion on the matter.
That's interesting. But the other thing is, it almost doesn't matter whether or not Nighthawk is a factor, because you can still -2 all of your opponent's stats, so you're basically getting the yes, you can't do damage, but you still get the equivalent of upping your own attack. You just do it in reverse, right? So it almost it will matter for the damage part, but even that mirror match, it really doesn't matter as much. And even once Nighthawk's out of the picture, the Deadpool still exists. He's not as all-encompassing as Nighthawk is, that's for sure. Yep. But I don't think taking Nighthawk out is going to solve anything.
And also with noting too is the Deadpool, as you mentioned, is only worth it if you can get the plot points token, and it does have a cost behind it, right? So, as an example, if I can get an Alpha Strike and you haven't used that ability on the first turn, that costs 2 plot points, if I remember correctly. He starts with 3, if I remember
3.
correctly. Yeah. So it's not on the level of Nighthawk Prime where Nighthawk Prime is there and he does it. Deadpool, you do it once, and then you're going to have to get it again, right? And I think Nighthawk's lingering is a major factor in it. I don't know.
I don't think Nighthawk Prime really is the problem, because you see how much Unimind dominates things without him even being around. Like, like you said, it's +2, -2. The fact that he's doing so much of it to whatever and whoever he wants. It's damage. It's when Adam perplexed down Mistress Death's damage so much that Kenny couldn't even get it into a positive number to retaliate. Like, it's just, the Nighthawk honestly is only balancing another Unimind. Yep. That's all it's doing. And the Unimind, even when he's faced with the Nighthawk, when you see in that mirror match, he's still effective. He's still running around doing brutal things. Like, yeah, I think it's the figure itself. And like you guys mentioned, it's maybe as well, the +2 can't be applied to other people. It's like with the other Eternals, he can only do that to himself. Yeah. Maybe that would help.
Now, one thing I've been mulling over as well, whenever there's a +2/-2 perplexing, generally is limited away from damage. Now, in certain cases, when it is allowed on damage, you're giving up something or doing something. Examples being Red Leader, you have to take a power action. The Eternals, not including not including Unimind, all the other Eternals have to target themselves and they have to give up their power cosmic. Now, Unimind just gives up his power cosmic and can still use it in both directions. I think because he's got a multi-directional +2/-2, I feel they need to go back to, maybe we shouldn't allow him to touch damage with that.
I would agree with that.
Out there? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that definitely is a way to help mitigate his evil.
Yeah. He's tough, but also not as common as the Carnage.
Yeah, wow. Who knew?
Who knew? At $100 a pop, these Carnages would show up everywhere. Okay, guilty. Play 2.
Yeah. Got Carnage, bro?
I got Carnage. In fact, getting Carnage was one of the first things I tried to get with regards to the Mighty Thor. It was my focus of the set, even.
Good choice.
So now I feel Carnage, as he is, isn't as problematic on the level. He's good, but he's not that. If you catch what I'm saying.
You can kill him so super easy. He's a colossal. He's got a 16 defense, toughness. In games where if I faced him, one hit, done. You're later.
Yeah. Also worth noting, he only targets one character when he does retaliate. It is with his stats, but I mean, if you put work into it, you're putting work into a 10-point character. 2. He does create that symbiote token, which is part of a really cool retaliation, also equally good, but that character can't like charge or running shot or anything like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's like, hey, we don't have a problem with Carnage, but he's everywhere, right? No. He's not really as big an issue as, say, these other things. So I again, I'm not screaming for the nerf hammer on Unimind, but
he needs some balance.
He's dominating right now.
He needs a little bit of game balance.
Yeah.
Just some tweak.
A little bit of reward for the work that it takes. I think the most important thing is a little bit of reward for the work it takes to kill just a 150-point character.
Sure. Well, even think of it at a higher point value. Again, going back to the 400 format, if you play him in a one-man army at 375, and I spend the whole game and I actually kill him and I get nothing.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You idiot. So yeah, no.
Okay, Gene Wilder.
Actually, you know what? I was actually thinking of UHF with Weird Al Yankovic. Wheel of Fish. The girl goes for what's in the box, and they lift the box, and there's nothing in it. There's nothing. You idiot. Anyway, look it up. Watch it.
Yeah. Now, cool. This was a pool of 85 players in the Rock Cup. It was a great time. And as much as I whine about the matchups I had, all my matchups were good. They were close. I had a chance in every time. So under no circumstance do I think Unimind needs a ban. And I don't think a big work needs to be done on him. Just a small one. I'm more in favor of my score the Blue Flame, then score the Eternals than anything. But ultimately, it's a tough figure. So now that we've had this defined, know when you go into competitive play, be ready to either be a Unimind or kill a Unimind. And big props to Kenny for getting as far as he did with a team that's very capable of doing what he needs. Because one of the keys, and let's actually talk. Let's go away from the negativity. The negativity being the whining / nerf him, as is often seen in the game community. Let's go to the how do we do this, guys? What do we do to deal with this? And I think one of the most important things that's worth noting is if you can get the kill on the Unimind, it's a matter of capitalizing or being sure that when you do it, you make or you're able to finish off the Eternals as well. And I want to go to the idea of what do we have that can add action tokens right now outside of a couple figures with incapacity? Because Kenny using the Lokis made me think about this. When the Unimind dies, it has all the action tokens that it had left with on all those Eternals. So if you can spend a turn killing the Unimind, but have him double token when you kill him, is that really the best way? And what figure options do we have for this? Just off the top of your heads, if you can think of any. Mike, what do you just off the top of your head? We're playing word association almost with it.
Yeah, it's a tough one because, like you said, it feels like it's been a long while since we've seen Incap around. God, man, sadly, if it was Golden Age, I just go back to things like the triple targeting Graviton. Well, you know what? Actually, ironically, Thena might be a good choice against him because she hits and then she could put a token on him. And if he's already got a token, then he could get penetrating. I don't know. It's really tough to say. I'm actually trying to think of somebody who does like hits and gives a token and then an extra token, maybe like a double Incap.
If I may think of a thing, throw one in there. The Frost Giant can help put those action tokens on him because the Frost Giant can say put an action token on a character adjacent who's lower points, or a single action token on a single character adjacent to him.
But isn't it at the end of the turn, so it doesn't really do what we were looking to do?
Well, I mean, ultimately, yeah, you're probably right, but at some point, you're going to want to retaliate on him and lead up to that, right?
Well, see, really what I was thinking about is you kind of want a team that anticipates. So okay, we're playing 300 environment here, so let's assume that we're talking about 150-point Unimind. The killing of the 150-point Unimind technically is really easy with Chase Green Arrow. The Kryptonite Arrow is the perfect weapon for him because it ignores that stop click. He can do 5 damage all by himself with Range Combat Expert, all into damage, and he's already got a 12 attack. So if you can compensate with value boosting of your own onto the Green Arrow, in assuming that in a worst case scenario, you've got a Unimind who's got a +3 to that defense, right? You want to find a way to boost up Green Arrow's attack. So let's assume that part of it. So Green Arrow's what, 80 points, right? So he kills Unimind. He kills Unimind with the 1 action. What we need is a team that actually has at least 3 more actions. You know what I mean? Because that's often what was the problem is you'd have to call out Green Arrow to kill Unimind to then whatever. Like Hawkeye is perfect for taking out all of those Eternals, right? With the repeated attacking, and that would only be one action. Or you need somebody who's got triple target or something. So then you only need one action for them. It's just, in my mind, you need a way to get that kryptonite arrow on him and then definitely follow up with multiple attacks to wipe out the Eternals and score the points that you deserve to get. So it's really about actions, I think. Like a team that has at least a 4-action pool, and 2 of those need to be, attacking. Green Arrow and then a multiple attacking, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Jay?
I just came up with I'm halfway to finishing up a team off the top of my head. So you start with Solaris because he has enough attack value to definitely hit Unimind. Hopefully, no matter what his defense is. And then you start making a theme team with the ruler keyword.
I do like ruler.
You add Odin to... Huh?
I like ruler.
So you add Odin the Destroyer at his lower point value because he can call in Nick and Green Arrow, so you can definitely be double tapping Unimind in that turn. Even assuming they have a Nighthawk, you should still be able to do it. Get rid of whatever powers with Nick. Follow up with Green Arrow. He has all of them have 2 tokens. And then the TK option I went with is Mephisto at lower points because he will give your Collins prob. He has Perplex himself. Throw the Supreme Intelligence onto him for the TK. And you still have about 43 points left. I don't know what you filled in with, but you play at least three ID cards, throw a Pog in there to get another ID card in there. Then you have a +3 map roll bonus against him, so you can pick a map that's good for you, bad for him. I think that's not the worst thing I could have come up off the top of my head.
I think I found the guy that is the answer to all of our problems, guys. I think I got it. Oh wait, I messed it up. But yes, it's a matter of either or. Kill him with 2 action tokens, or kill him and then follow up with a multitude of attacks. So I have found the savior of our problem, the man who kills a Unimind. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice try.
I didn't even see who that was.
It's a killer mod.
Oh, killer mod. Come on.
The real thing I was thinking of is Michelangelo. And this is from the Ninja Turtles Series 1 set, The Chase, 75 points. He's got charge, plus he's also got a special attack power that gives him flurry, and each time he hits an opposing character, after actions resolve, you may give that character an action token. So, potentially able to throw 2 action tokens on your opponent after a flurry. I think that triggers each time he hits. Again, this is going to have to go to the win based on the new rules because of the after resolving thing.
There was actually just a recent ruling on advanced turtling technique that they can do it infinite, or they can do it as many times as it's applicable.
Yeah, but he's got the follow-up attack after he's made the attacks on the flurry. He's got to attack a different target. So I don't think advanced turtle techniques is. We'll see. Oh, so but what you're saying is if he advanced turtle techniques, he attacks, then that resolves, and then you can advance turtle technique again.
Yeah, because it's not once per turn or anything.
Okay.
Based on something different. There was some ruling on it. Look it up on the one I can't remember off the top of my head.
That was the one I thought of, and I was kind of going off of the top click. Mike, I liked your idea with Thena. The problem with Thena is she gets at either
she gets it near the end,
like a third click, or she's got it to the end, and your Unimind is dead, so you've got bigger problems to deal with. Just a couple ideas I want to throw out there. For one, I wanted to bring back the attention to Ninja Turtles because I'm a big fan of Ninja Turtles, right?
Well, what's interesting, too, is if you get at least I think what you need to do is you need to have a modifier potentially for his range to anticipate the fact that, because the way you would counter that, obviously, when the Unimind dies, taking full advantage of the 4 squares and getting the Eternals as far apart as possible. And then he doesn't have enough movement to be able to get to the other Eternals. But potentially, if you had a way to boost his range up, he could counter that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately, what we're doing is we're throwing our head at the wall on strategies on how to deal with the Unimind. One of the things when we say this, though, is do not strictly go to a tournament planning to beat a Unimind if that's what your team does, because it's got to beat Unimind, but it's also got to beat other things, right? Because there's a ton going on that you need to try out.
Absolutely.
I know in the past there's been some really cool Captain Americas that offered up, hey, I'm going to use leadership, remove tokens from my guys, and let's add some tokens to your guys. Those were cool. I don't think those exist right now anymore. But it's an idea I've been mulling over right now is can I build a team that's really cool, I really like, does the damage I needed to do and the amount of attacking that I needed to do, but also can take that Unimind and go, hey, get some action tokens. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to finish these Eternals off in a second.
Yeah, like one of the big moves that Adam Friedman did on Tiego's Unimind in their battle was barriered him in. They were on the indoor map, and he trapped him. And that was huge. So that's another thing that you can do to hold them down and compensate. If you could be double barriering up and prepping yourself, to make a big attack with someone like Green Arrow, that's also a strategy to slow down that Unimind.
Mm. Yeah. And, we talk about this. We love to talk about these state of the game things after these big world championships, but we shouldn't let them define how the game we shouldn't look at this and say, hey, WizKids, you need to fix this thing. Part of this is that people saw this best strategy and made use of it. It's also worth taking the time to say, that was good, but can we deal with this? So can it be dealt with? Is the counter to this? Does the counter to this already exist and we just don't know it? We haven't been using it yet. Time will tell. This is the end of a big time period in which a lot of competitive events occur. And right now, competitive play is going to kind of fall out of things until we hit the next month when the WKOs come around. But a lot of our local WKOs are sealed. Thank goodness. That's a little bit of a break of things. So I love playing sealed WKOs. I don't have to plan for a whole lot of things. I just come in and say, what did I get? All right, let's see if it works.
Yeah, I think the other thing to keep in mind, I want to say this before, but just solving the Unimind problem in whatever way, like suppose a watch list happens, whatever. He's nerfed. He's not top tier. He's not the top figure anymore. That doesn't really solve all the problems because Jakeem still exists.
Yeah,
it's not just a matter of nerf Unimind, please, and all of our problems are solved. No, that's not the case.
And it's also why I suggest a tiny nerfs at best. I want Unimind to be allowed to be played. I don't want you to lose immediately because you're using them. And that happens too often. We've seen it with the Iron Pharaoh. We've seen it with so many figures where people just kind of they do something and they hit a hammer where all you really needed was to chisel a little bit off. And I want to suggest chisels over hammers. And you're like, I don't want him to be turned into a Nerf ball. I want him to be a metal sword instead of a diamond sword, if that makes any sort of sense.
So many analogies.
Yeah. I'm super sleepy, so I'm sure half of them don't make sense, and I'm going to get made fun of for it. So, so before we start getting the fan questions, Jay or we'll start with Mike. Mike, anything you want to go mention before or talk about before we get into the fan questions?
No, not really. Just want to once again say what a wonderful weekend it was, how much fun it was. Of course, to spend time with my MetaLab, Married with Clixed family. And to play with all these awesome players, so many great people from across the states, and again, big shout out to Pedro and Tiago. You guys are so much fun. It was so fantastic, awesome to meet you guys. You need to be up here in Canada for nationals. We want to see you guys here, and maybe we'll figure out one day a trip down to Brazil for their nationals, something like that. Be crazy fun. And you again go to these events. It's the best environment to bring your game up to the next level. You always get better when you play against that caliber of player. You see the thought patterns that go into things. You get inspired by things. And plus, there were so many great moments that happened, right? Like, again, Daniel's winning move of throwing that Hulkbuster armor against Unimind, which was like a nothing. It's like a nothing attack. It's not going to hurt Unimind at all.
Didn't care if it hit.
Didn't even care if it hit, but that won the game for him. Oh man, to be there in that moment was fantastic. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again to Howard Brock and the Realms and TCG player and everybody that was involved in organizing the weekend. All the players who came out. It was a fantastic weekend.
All right, Jay?
I think that about covers everything.
All right, awesome. And I do want to echo what Mike said. Thank you very much to all the organizers and all the great people over at The Rock. There is so much more to discuss next week as far as the future of The Rock. I just want to get some more details before we continue with the discussion on that. But I do want to take a second to congratulate Howard Brock on acquiring in full The Rock. Overall, I mean, he owns the Rock tournaments, and he's going to be the man with the plan for the Rock going into next year. So we'll see how that ends up. And yeah, so we're going to go and move our way into the questions, starting with the Facebook. Folks, if you're watching live right now, get your questions in the chat, and in big capital letters, put question in front of it so that I can catch it. If there's any rules, I've noticed some rules questions have been already kind of covered. So if you don't hear me cover it in the episode, because you got your answer in the chat there. But I do want to start first in the Facebook, as we put that up many hours ago. We're going to start with David Cologne. With Unimind being a major impact in the current game state, will we start seeing a resurgence of Nighthawk Prime? What team was the most creative you played against this seed? So, we saw the resurgence with the Nighthawk Prime and the Unimind, so they kind of both came as a package deal. And that followed up. But as far as most creative team I played against, I guess I have to give it to Daniel Jones because he didn't use Nighthawk Prime with his Unimind. I do want to give big props to Kenny. His team. Oh, I love watching things. I love factories of figures just being made. It was amazing. Mike, what about you?
It would be well, yeah, we already answered the question really about Nighthawk Prime. Duh. Most creative team was it's got to be Nick's team with the double Batrocks and shifting focus Batman and all of that extra stuff. Plus, what was really cool too is for his old lace, he was using a little gray Godzilla. And he was super fun.
Wow.
And we were being on the cargo map. He was in the water for a while, so I imagine him coming out of Tokyo Harbor.
Gojira!
Oh, Gojira! Oh no! My poor Al Jordan got crushed by Gojira. So, and plus, in fact, it was almost like a kaiju battle because there was the Carnage and there was the Frost Giant. So they all looked like crazy kaiju as well. So, yeah. Big props again to Nick for a really creative and fun team and very effective. He was playing Knob Mace and regular Mace on those Batrocks, and then he had enhancement from Overdrive and from Old Lace. So he's like free attacking for 4. It was great team, effective team, and really creative and fun.
All right, Jay.
Given that he had the Lokis and the Throne Black Panther, and was not playing Unimind, I have to agree on Kenny. And I'm sure he took down a lot of Uniminds on his way to making the cut. I think he ended up in top 16, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right.
16.
Oh wait, no, I think it was.
No, he was
in the top 8.
He was top 8.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so being the only non-Jakeem, non-Unimind in the top 8, yeah. Can't
the top
argue with
8
that.
did have 6 Unimind. You are correct.
Yeah, 1 Yakeem, 6 Unimind, and Kenny's team.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Michael Fedor, who currently wishes to be referred to as the Unipatron. So now I hate him. His question, just like to phrase my own worst enemy, how effective is Unimind playing against himself in the game? So many jokes I'm not allowed to make on the show anymore in regards to that. But I mean, look to if you can find it through the scrubbing of the video archive on twitch.tv/realmworks. Check out the Twitch stream from the I'm not sure which one it is, to be brutally honest, but one of them has the Sunday, the finals events, and if you look at the game between Easton Brock and Daniel Powell, you get a good idea of what that matchup looks like.
Absolutely. I mean, the two of them brought it right down to the wire. It was down to just their Uniminds left, and they show you exactly all the things you can do to try and counteract and prepare and balance against a same foe.
Mm-hmm. Jay?
So what was the question again?
How effective is Unimind playing against himself?
It's annoying, but given how much damage you can do, it can definitely be it can be very interesting to watch, and I think it's really based on strategy at that point with the mirror match, right? But I mean, obviously, people were playing Uniminds, they expected their Uniminds to be able to beat other Uniminds, so it's a good play.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, Drew Warren. Oh, he's got a joke question first, so let me handle this one here. Why is Drew Warren the greatest? Who? And how lucky was everyone he didn't show up? What? Next up, on a serious note, do you expect that retirement will help or hurt Unimind? Is Unimind the new Jakeem flavor that everyone will hate on now that Jakeem is no longer the king? I mean, we got to deal with it. I still don't feel that we're at the level of play it or die. It's just that situation, and this happened. I'm hoping we get what happens at Magic the Gathering, where the most obvious or the most strong strategy shows up when the sets first come out and the and rotation occurs, or the new set stuff comes out. We see our high level tournament. We see what seems the strongest at first, but then tools are there. We just haven't started using the tools in order to deal with that problem, and then more tools find their way into the collective reasoning, as it were. So that's kind of what I'm hoping happens. We'll see. I mean, a lot of people are going to jump on the Unimind bandwagon or the beat Unimind bandwagon for a little bit. I'm still not 100% going to say definitely going to play Unimind, but we'll see what's up from there. Mike, what do you think?
Obviously, in a pinch, you go to Unimind. If you don't have time to do intense practice, you go to Unimind. It's always been a numbers game, and anybody who can manipulate the numbers like that is huge. Picking powers is huge. We all know that. But like you said, I think it's like the new hotness that people be really excited about it because it just came out of the gate. It is not to say that great players can't play him really well, but I think even mediocre players can be successful with him due to just the natural nature of him. So, of course, if you could go 100 miles an hour in that, or 1,000 miles an hour in that new car, you're going to jump in it and go 1,000 miles an hour. So we'll see him around, but we've got more stuff coming. We don't know what's going to happen in Harley. There's always new strategies coming along. Somebody will build another interesting team that takes a Unimind down, and then people will consider using that. So, I think it's just everybody's excited. He's the new hotness.
All right, Jay.
I don't think I have anything more to add to that, actually.
Okay, cool. I do also want to add, if all of us are playing Unimind, doesn't that make it in theme?
Yeah.
All right, next up, and we gotta get it. We gotta get it. Oh, I'm using it as a coaster. I shouldn't be using it as a coaster. Our man Chris Stockhouse put a stamp on it. It's an official episode, kids. And I'm gonna throw my camera all over the place. I apologize if I gave you motion sickness. Chris Stockhouse has his entry into the episode. Glad every Canadian made it home from a very fun Rock World Cup. I myself got back, and I'm glad I don't have to work until Wednesday. Good idea. I don't have to work till tomorrow, so I'm pretty well off.
I have to get up at 5 a.m. So
I had to build a couch when I got home.
Oh, it's late.
And carry it upstairs. 100-pound couch, man. Ugh. In your opinion, was there enough time in between rounds? I felt sort of rushed once the seedings were posted. You had to fight a crowd to see those sheets. Then you found your table, exchanged pleasantries with your opponent, checked the build sheets, rolled for map, picked map, placed terrain, placed objects, placed characters. Then all beginning game stuff like picking out blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Almost all my matches in the finals weren't ready to start when Alex was ready to start the round. Side note, Alex did an excellent job and was a cool dude to hang out with and talk to during the weekend. That's just I've been driving for 8.5 hours question. Talk to you all soon. Okay, so the time between rounds, we're hitting that heavy balance right now, and this is one of those things that occurs when major tournaments are organized. Last year, there was way too much time between rounds. This year, there was almost none. We kind of need to strike a balance somewhere where players get enough time to sit there. The difference between Heroclix and Magic is that Magic, you're there, your deck is there, you shuffle, you go, you're good to go. Heroclix, okay, I got to put down the map, and then I got to put down the characters, and then I got to put down the objects, and then I got to make the decision, and I got to tell you what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, you gotta get all your stuff. You got to get all your stuff on the table, but then when you roll for map, well, I got to put my map on the table, so I got to pull all my stuff off the table, and there's a lot of periphery. Like, yeah, man, you need time, and it felt like there was 10 minutes more between the rounds would have been huge.
Yeah.
Even 5 minutes more would have been.
Yeah. I think what we should have is it's not just enough for them to be at their seats. It's enough for everybody to, do the quick, hey, how you doing? Let's roll map and whatnot. It's as a judge, I've judged some big events. You can scan the room and have an idea on how ready everybody is to go. But because this is an event being run in a big place, it's really hard to be allowed to do that because eventually at some point the venue owner is going to be breathing down your throat to get you the heck out of there. That's especially on the Sunday, as it's like, this is the last day you're here. You had a time limit. How close are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? You're ready to go kind of thing. So I just kind of want to, it's a hard balance to make. So I'm not 100% sure. But Jay, your thoughts on the matter?
I was pretty happy with the efficiency, that's for sure. But yeah, I did feel like it was a little bit tight at times. Like I was watching Adam play, and he was going to time, and it was like, "Oh, can I literally have 1 minute to go to the bathroom?" It's like, oh, that's rough when you're worried about that.
Yeah, worth noting, this may be the one downside to the last round. Because some last rounds did go a little bit and ended up, and then the judges have to move the games along, right? And those two players are still trying to get out of their table because they've just finished last round once the pairings are set up. So we may have found we may have to add a strict time limit to that last round. I don't know.
Wait, I thought there was one.
Is it 5 minutes?
It's supposed to be, but it wasn't really enforced, if you ask me. I saw some pretty long last rounds.
But yeah, also, Chris, you better get your butt over to a Canadian tournament. If I don't see you at Canadian Nationals, you're getting DQ'd anyway. I don't care if you're here or not. You're getting DQ'd either way.
All right. And then we've been getting this a lot, so it's worth mentioning. Symbio from over at T3 Podcast. Just want to say a huge thank you to Amber and Jason and Mike for doing the stream and commentary. You guys did a fantastic job. It was, you know what, for what it was a lot of fun. It was a long time, but I really enjoyed the stream and the commentary. Especially gave me something to do once I was wallowing in my own pity.
Yeah, rather than wallow in my hotel room and cry into my bed.
Yeah.
My sweaty bed.
Yeah. All right. And somebody's quickly threw this in, so we got a quick speed round question, as it were. Flora Colossal or Carnage? Who's better? Go, Mike.
Carnage.
Jay.
Flora.
I prefer Carnage, and then PJ Bolin jumped in there. No surprise, Flora Colossal. There were at least 8 Flora Colossals out of the 85 players in the finals. All 8 on 2 teams.
Yeah. I saw Tom playing one of those teams. It was hilarious.
The only reason I said Flora is because my favorite character right now, actually, I guess 2 favorite characters right now both have Mastermind. And new Mastermind rules with Stop are pretty good.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Zach Strong. If you are playing a Unimind team without Nighthawk Prime, how do you beat a Unimind team that is playing a Nighthawk Prime? I'm planning going to WK and don't have Nighthawk. I think we already discussed Deadpool is an option.
Well, I mean, another way really is, again, I had the potential to beat that team in with mine just by getting past Unimind and take out Nighthawk Prime. Like you said, you can still boost your stats. If you get in close to him and hit him with a close attack, you're good. Find a way to put Battle Fury onto Unimind. You take the Hypersonic from Makari. You've got TK from somebody. You can get that Nighthawk, kill him, get yourself into stealth, and protect yourself pretty easy.
Yeah, that new the you can use special objects with resources rule will really help because once you get that Joker canister on him for the +2 attack, like you only need to use your perplexes on the attack. That's a very, very dead Nighthawk Prime.
Absolutely.
And before I even consider forgetting it, I almost forgot about Scott Crampton's team because I don't think he was running Nighthawk Prime, but he had Foggy Nelson.
Yes, Foggy Nelson.
So what Foggy will help you do is once you've killed that Nighthawk Prime, with all the perplexing you need to do, he will protect you from the countering or the outwitting that you've exposed yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
So also an option. And Foggy Nelson only takes up 15 points of a team. You do get a little bit more workaround from there. So consider that. Double check. I don't know if he posted it on the Critical Clicks Facebook, but I know Scott Crampton's team is out there in the world of Facebook for sure. Consider that as an idea. All right. By the way, we're working into the Facebook chat right now. We've had a little bit of interaction with our Patreon-only Discord. If you guys want to join us on patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. Any amount of dollarage gets you access to the patron Discord, which I'm actually going to be adding Mike to very soon. Once I explain what Discord is to him. Unless he knows. Do you know?
Ooh.
All right, cool. We're going to have to explain Discord to him. It's pretty simple stuff. But anyway, patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. Any dollar amount value gets you in there. $10 a month gets you an action token every action tokens sent to you every other month. That's how that works. I get them made by the guys over at Big Bully Games, and it was a pleasure meeting one of the fellows over at Big Bully Games. It was very enthusiastic, very exciting player, and a very excited player. And it was good. It's always good meeting these people, meeting the people that exist in the Heroclix world on the internet in person. It's always an exciting time.
Yeah, I wish I'd have known. I've gotten tokens from there too. I got to say, they're awesome.
Yeah. All right. Next up, rules. It doesn't look like we had as many questions as I thought we did this time around. Oh, here we go. What do you guys think of the new Titano OP kit prize? Finally, we get the ability to attack/damage a friendly again. Can you think of anything fun this can be used on? Thanks again.
Well, I would say he's not competitively viable at the higher points, like the non-30 points, and Colossal Indifference means that he can't attack smaller characters. So
that's a good point, Jay.
Yeah.
I think
not so sure about him, and I mean I wouldn't mind a giant white ape, but
I mean at 100, that 100-point dial is not interesting. Oh man, is that
mediocre?
So yeah, not a big fan of that, to be brutally honest. fun games, sure. Knock your own characters around all you want. If you can think of a character who's better on the second click than on his first click, go for that one. All right, so that about wraps it up for questions. I want to thank everybody for watching the Metal Lab. I want to welcome Mike White. Mike is going to be permanently joining us on the Metal Lab. He is not, though, one of the people who joined us through the email, etc. Tom is taking a bit of a backseat as well lately. He's really busy on a major project with his own company. So he's going to be a little bit more part-time. Tom's going to show up occasionally, maybe later on in the show, to do his own little segments, such as Cartographer's Corner or the debate or whatever he has going or ready to go for later times. So Mike is going to be filling in that void. He's also going to fill in our Mike void because we lost a Mike. Let's get a Mike.
We got to have a Mike quota. There's a Mike quota that's important to keep.
Yeah. Although I think Gingers will get higher points on the next one because I need some kind of ginger to make ginger jokes at. But with that said, I want to take a couple minutes to thank our sponsors, our first of which is hcrealms.com, our source of all things Heroclix. These guys are awesome. We all know who they are. We use their site all the time. You check out the homepage, all kinds of cool articles out there, including updates from the Rock World Cup. Who knew?
Okay, I've got it open right now. What?
Whatever's going on in the units section, build your teams, track your collection, all that kind of stuff. Forums is where you find out what people are talking about as far as Heroclix is concerned. So check that out. Also, while you're there, check out the shop. While you're shopping around all the cool stuff that HC Realms has, put in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off your purchase, and a little bit kickback goes back to the channel in the form of stuff from them that we might turn into prizing eventually. We just got to find out how much we're sitting on right now. But we're also brought to you by the Majestics Apex Insiders. MajesticsCCG.com/Apex-Insiders is the place to go for the brain dumps of the best. If you check here, you got team lists from PJ Bolin for his Rock Cup Atlanta teams, sealed primers from Mr. Jay Solomon of our own channel here, Aaron Cantu, multiple-time Super Qualifier winner, and Adam Friedman. My gosh, if you want a brain dump, start a conversation with Adam Friedman. He will give you his brain. I think I've actually got a little bit of gray matter. His still stuck to my shirt. It was weird getting through customs on it. I'm an occasional contributor to the site as well. But check it out. $3 a month gets you access to the premium stuff. If you go strictly to MajesticsCCG.com, you get access to some of the more free articles that will include regular Rock tournament updates and more. Amber does regular rules updates. Usually my brain dumps are part of the free content. It's a lot of cool stuff. We also have something coming up very soon, a little sneak peek at something that Majestics is working on as part of their storefront that we're really excited to show everybody in the future. So with that said, you'll note that HC Realms no longer necessarily the home of the Rock. We're going to talk more about that next week rather, once I've managed to procure some more details from those related. But I want to once again thank Mike and welcome Mike to the show. Look forward to more weeks with him.
Thanks.
And don't make the mistake that a lot of us made, myself and Mike included. You got to take, when you get those teams, you bring them to the Rock World Cup, etc. You got to get the practice because Daniel practiced, and practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.